We need somebody here doing this for us. We should be able to do this. Why does it sound so low? It's awful quiet. Oh, that's why. Sheriff Canada Dale Fowler joins us in studio this morning, and we'll talk city mask ordinance. All the toilet paper is gone once again, folks. There's a big red beer coming, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show. Today's Wade and Carter Show. There'll be none of this. None of that. Hey, how are you?
Good. Good morning to you.
You look a little sunburned.
No, not really. Probably just blood pressure.
Oh, is that all?
Back in the real world.
Yeah, the pressure of this show. I
Absolutely.
got
Lots of stress.
Let's do this.
Wade and Carter Weather looking for a sponsor, brought to you by me and Ash. Out of the goodness of our hearts. 81 degrees in Victoria, Texas today, heading to a high of 91. It shows here cloudy and windy. Gust. It's going to be gusty.
Blustery.
This will be a wind advisory. The Allen's Record Service wind advisory in effect. Be careful. Yeah. Hey,
I wonder if Allen's was called to Riverside Park yesterday. Some guy over the, I don't know if it was yesterday, it might have been Saturday. Some guy over the weekend rolled his truck in Riverside Park. I saw a picture of the thing.
See, I think
on
that guy ought to sue the city. He ought to sue the city because there's no way to roll your truck going 20 miles an hour.
No.
You can't do it.
No.
So that's got to be. The city somehow had to let that gentleman down.
Yeah, you
I mean,
think?
somehow, either that hairpin turn down there by number 16 on the golf course, something had to happen.
Or he was going along, what is it, McCrite Stadium Drive? I don't know which one it is. McCrite?
Right.
McCrite. And then tried to go,
Tried to make it right.
tried to make that left by the,
hard left
to go back down the one way.
Didn't he have to kind of blow that stop sign to do it?
There's no stop sign there. There's no left turn there. But
Okay.
yeah.
Still, it can't be his fault. Nothing.
Well, nothing is anybody's
There's
fault in this
no
world anymore.
personal responsibility left. Did you happen, this comes
To
out of
see
nowhere.
the most.
Did you happen to watch the UFC fight on Saturday night?
I did not.
Never thought I'd be into this. Guy named, last name was Poirier. Poier.
IR.
Yeah, Poirier. He's from Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana. Young guy.
Poirier?
Poirier. Not Poirier, not Sydney.
No, I know.
But, UFC has kind of come a long way with their mixed martial arts stuff. I mean, there's a lot of, he's got them in the double anaconda. I mean, they're getting people down the ground and squeezing with their legs. There was blood, and it was violent. But it was actually weirdly entertaining. I mean, boxing has kind of died. I mean, the biggest news in boxing is
Tyson Holyfield Fury.
and they're both combined. They're well over 110 years old. I mean, this makes George Foreman look like a punk kid coming back to fight.
Kinda.
And Tyson is going to kill Holyfield. That fight will be over in 2 rounds if Tyson chooses to do so. Tyson will destroy Evander Holyfield. No doubt about it.
I'm in that same camp.
No doubt about it. Just obliterate and probably do it with enough malice to warrant a title shot soon. Like, well, why are you giving him a title shot? Well, he's been a champion and he could die at any moment. We've got to give him a shot now.
And nobody knows any of our champions anyway in heavyweight boxing anymore. So we gotta bring back something to the sport.
I mean, unless it's a guy named like Klagakovich, or somebody that you know from the motherland, Dolph Lundgren. This is Sylvester Stallone is the one who's the most excited about this because he's thinking of resurrecting Clubber Lang. Bring Clubber back. Mr. T is like going, I'll shave my head. I'll get a face tattoo
again.
I haven't been on a Love Boat since '87. I'm coming back.
You could cast Tyson as Clubber Lang Jr.
Right? just, I think all the great ones, all the great comics and all the great boxers have a slight screw loose. And I think Tyson could snap at any moment.
Now, LeMaire checking in. Bobby Leister, good morning. The Iceman is in. Chris Conrad, good morning to you. Scott Tomko. Fat Pat, good morning. Marvin Mickish. Holding steady at 66 YouTubers, according to the Bobby Leisterometer. Karen Webb checking in. Christina Wise, Matt Boucher, Michael Terrell. Judge Posey, Robin Moore Knipling, Patrick Strauss, good morning. Scott Snow. Brent Anderson's up early.
Hey, Zip.
Chris Jansen, Larry Leahy, Adam Daughtry.
What a great group. Judge Zeller, good morning, sir.
Don Nicole's in.
Hello, sweet girl.
Amy Monday, Sheriff Lauterbach, Lisa Poole. Good morning, Mike Bloschke.
What a great group. Tremendous group.
See if we missed anybody. Callie Frommy's in. Rena Scherer. Monica Jost. Clint Ives. Peter McNally, Andy Rhea Jr., I think Marty Stockbauer. Don Herman checking in from, I think, Kamloops, British Columbia, where Canada Day is coming up on Wednesday, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a nice Canada Day anywhere that I've got family. Calgary looks rainy and cold.
What is the weather? Is the weather too? Is that like the highlight of spring in Canada?
Yeah, more or less. 58 degrees, I think, going to be the high on Canada Day in Calgary.
It'll be twice that here.
Yeah. And no rain.
Mm.
So, Stephen Kidder, good morning. CW Bean. How was your weekend? You spent the weekend on a river. I'm not sure which river you were on.
Folks, it would be impossible. It would take a mini series to take you through. So we thought, here's what we envisioned.
Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes.
Swingers, loud music, topless
Who
girls.
should have been over. I was wishing that all these women would convert to Islam and put on a robe and cover their faces. I mean, normally you'd be like, no kidding, really? Like they were taking their tops off? Yeah, they were. One girl took her top off and like 2 Volkswagens fell out. It was, Dawn goes, don't look. I go, I can't help it.
It was like 2 Slinkies.
I didn't want to look, but I just kept looking.
It's like a train wreck.
Yes. I'm not exaggerating that where we were. So Marty Stockbauer, the world's greatest mother-in-law, did a tremendous job. Her heart, so big, so full. She wanted the whole family together. Somewhere during the weekend, more than once, Joey pointed out, John Stockbauer III pointed out, we could have all done this at my house for a lot less money. But we didn't do that because we wanted a family getaway, a vacay, if you will. So we all jammed our vehicles full of everything we wanted to eat and drink.
And you didn't accomplish either one, right?
We took it all to New Braunfels, and we went down River Road, and we were somewhere upstream of the second crossing. For those of you that really know that area, we were down by a place called Mountain Breeze. We're down by Koozies, for those of you that know that river. And we were down there and had a beautiful home, and I called it kind of a Porta Connor home. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath deal up on stilts, and then down below there's a bedroom and a bathroom and a ping pong room and parking. And it was nice until Saturday when the toilet overflowed, the septic backed up, which wasn't our fault, and then the septic backed up and destroyed the downstairs, making that unusable, which also, by the way, was that bathroom was a place that we had stored some extra water that was deemed unpotable. And then we noticed on Thursday night when we got there, everything was okay. But Friday night, boom, 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 all night long. Like somebody's like, give me that bass. And the next thing you know, the campground next door, Mountain Breeze, was hosting Swingers Weekend.
Was there a sign?
No, but it apparently was publicized. It was like it was out there for those that need to know. And I think what you have to be is in your mid-40s, at least 30 pounds overweight and willing to drop your clothes. That's what I think the thing was. I challenged Marty. Joey said, that's it. This is the last one. Next year, I'll put a pop-up, easy up in the backyard. Y'all can come by if you want. We challenged Marty to find us a clothing optional campground for next year. Why not? I mean, what's left?
Nothing, apparently.
It was scary to see these people. I've never seen so many tattoos seriously, tattoos, extra rolls, and unappreciated.
When you have topless people running around and you notice that tattoos, that speaks volumes. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, as we head into the long weekend and July 4th, I know there was tragedy on the Guadalupe in Kirk County.
Yes.
20-month-old baby ended up drowning in a canoe that capsized. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that's even possible.
Kids got to have, especially on, legally on watercraft, got to have some type of flotation device on. I don't understand how you can have a 20-month-old and let the child die.
I don't
get it.
I don't know all the details. They didn't release any details, and I'm sure that's probably for good reason, because second guessers like us,
sure,
will be jumping all over them. It's a tragedy, but if nothing else, it should serve as a warning to take real caution this July 4th if you're heading out on the water, especially with kids of any age. You got to keep an eye on them, and you got to make sure if you're in a boat, they've got a life jacket on or some flotation device.
It just wasn't the same environment
above water
that we were used to. I'll tell you something. It's a real opportunity. I think it's a real opportunity for Victoria to see. We don't have the prettiest part of the Guadalupe here. And I realize that the GBRA has a lot of control over what we can and can't do with the river. But you could create a more family-friendly river environment. Let the young ones, let them go to New Braunfels. Let them go do what they want to do. If it's a college area, let them go. And this wasn't young kids. We didn't see any obnoxious 20-somethings. These were really obnoxious 50-somethings. But what if you could create an area here that was, family-friendly voting? I'm not saying it's got to be, you can't have any beer on the river. That doesn't bother me a bit. It's just a matter of some decorum, maybe a little. When I kept looking, there was a group down there.
Did you get your tetanus shot before you went into
That's
the water?
What I'm saying. I might have got Hep C down there. I don't know. There were people down there. A lot of them had their Make America Great caps on. That was a good group. There was a group there of guys from the Houston area that were just like us. They were amazed at what they were seeing. But I remembered that these people vote. These people are all about, hey, man, free love. And I'm just seeing these guys are all voting for Joe Biden. All of them. Just blew my mind. Because they had us outnumbered. I'm not saying this girl should have had her top on. I'm just saying that on one of them, she had the preamble of the Constitution, and on the other, she had Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying. They were long. It was time to get rid of those. You want to stay tuned in a couple of minutes. We're going to invite Sheriff's runoff candidate, the guy. He's in. Dale Fowler in studio. You've had a showdown with Dale. You and him and Justin Martin had a showdown. Caleb Shaw. I
wouldn't quite classify it as a showdown.
Like a cage match over there.
I think you're being a little dramatic
now. I'm trying to sell it. I'm trying to hype it as if I was a newspaper. It's not just about, it can't be just that interesting. A fine gentleman, proven business leader, running for public office. That doesn't sell. We've got to have controversy. We've got to have anger. There's got to be vitriol. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe it's just that easy, right?
Maybe. As easy as calling Allen's Wrecker Service.
578-6300. Allen's Wrecker Service. Today is Monday. Make a note, folks. That's the best segue Ash has ever done.
Ever.
578-6300. Call Allen's with all your towing needs. We needed Allen to tow us out of that bit. Thank you. Allen's Wrecker Service. 578-6300. VCS Companies, Rock and Roll Field Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all on Kerr Boulevard, right off Main Street.
You're going to have to navigate everybody going for a drive-through nasal swab to get back there, but you can still get there.
We'll talk about the numbers and what they mean and what they don't mean after we did. In fact, we may even, I don't know. We'll see what Mr. Fowler wants to talk about. The SCT Building Systems, 564-8064.
Give Clayton and Casey Held a call if you've got any building project in mind. They'll walk you through it from start to finish, determine which type of building best meets your needs, And they can even finish it out and landscape it for you. So they are a one-stop shop for everything you need done.
And then, of course, Chesnick Furniture Company, 100 years in downtown Victoria, even before there was a downtown, just when it was
Victoria. It was Victoria and Old Victoria, but it was that at that time it was New Victoria.
That's it.
That was it.
70 years in their current location, selling furniture. Their motto's always been, you just do better at Chesnick. We say Chesnick and love, make your house a home. 7:15 on the dot, note it. And we invite in,
Because it's never happened before.
unashamed to say, invite in my friend and your friend, a friend of Victoria, Mr. Dale Fowler. I'm going to do something, Dale. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to move this camera, give you a little time. That microphone's there. You'll want to talk right into it, and then we'll clean up our act here.
It's pointing the way it needs to. You just got to talk right into it, and you can lift it up. It won't. You won't make any noise on air. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you stopping by. Early voting begins today. Runs this week. And then 4 days next week, I understand, right?
4 days.
4 days this week.
5 days next week.
Okay, I had it backwards. Thank you for clearing that up.
Friday's a holiday.
Friday is the holiday. Okay.
Is that right? Businesses will take Friday the 3rd instead of Monday the 6th or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
City and county government has.
Okay. Yeah.
Banks
I
will
don't
probably
either.
do it.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. Banks may just take the Saturday. So how was the weekend?
Weekend was good.
Got to get you right into that. Pull it up so it's comfortable. You can hold it right there.
There we go. Weekend was nice. All of the tough stuff like that big debate that you guys helped sponsor. Thank you for that, by the way.
Proud to be a part of that. I wasn't there, but loved it. We watched every second of it while driving. So
Good job on that.
proud.
Thank you.
And so those kinds of events are done, and now it's getting out, talking to voters, and making sure they get out and vote. That's the biggest challenge and concern about this runoff election is the low voter turnout. And so we want to encourage everyone to get out there and vote.
How much are you hearing is COVID playing a factor in people wanting to stay away from the polls this time around?
It's not that we're hearing so much, but the perception is that because the numbers are going back up, people may not want to get out. Obviously, those who were able to vote by mail, that was probably could play a big role in this runoff election. I believe that you have until July 2nd to actually get your application in to receive a vote by mail.
I'll fall on this sword for you, Dale, and say this. People of Victoria, if you get out and vote early, there's a free roll of toilet paper. And as you walk out the door, Bill Posey will hand you. You go up to Bill and tell him you want your free Charmin.
Let's not steal anything from Kelly High.
Right. Exactly. I like it. Well, I think that's the key is people, but there's plenty, the polls are set up to allow you to socially distance. It is not going to be a problem. And we saw folks last week herd up to go down to the community center to get tested. They can certainly space out and go vote. You owe it to your community to get out and exercise your right to vote.
Absolutely. This is an important election. It's important for all of Victoria. We need to do this the right way.
Do you have, I don't know if Ash has any big questions, because, he asked you 16 questions the other day, and I thought you and Justin both did a great job of facing things straight up. Do you have any message you want to get out? We want to give you that opportunity. If there's something you want to say to the voters, why don't you just take a minute and do it?
Well, there's several issues that have come up during the campaign, Brent and Ash. One is everyone knows that I want to continue our proactive stance on law enforcement, continue to push on the drug trafficking, drug trade. We want to reduce the crime in Victoria, and about 90% of our serious crimes in Victoria, I don't know if that's the exact percentage, it's a high percentage of our serious crimes in Victoria are tied to drug trafficking, drug use, drug abuse in some way. So anything we can do proactively to stem that helps all other criminal activity in our community. So that's going to be a very important part of it. Obviously, our Special Operations Unit and the Crossroads Area Task Force is a huge deterrent in keeping that business out of here. It's kind of funny, I talk about business. Well, for 20 years, I have spent my life marketing Victoria as this great place to do business. Well, it is a great place to do business, legitimate or illegal.
Right.
And so, if we ever allow it to be easy to do drug business in Victoria, we're gonna be overrun. And just like where we were going 16, 17 years ago before Sheriff Hines took over.
we have lots of conversations with Chief Boyd, both on the air and off the air, and I realize it's his job, and he sees things, you see things on a daily basis that we don't, which it's kind of like, to a degree, the sheriff's office protects us from a lot of what really goes on. Emphasize to people the problems that really do exist. I mean, Chief Boyd is like, oh, are you kidding me?
What would shock somebody to know that there's more going on than people might notice?
Probably the activity of cartels in this region, in this area. I think that would shock people. I think some of the challenging situations that we have young people growing up in this community. You know, I've been on a high risk drug warrant service as part of the sheriff's office SWAT team on a regular basis, and to bust into a house that's a marijuana grow and have a 12-year-old boy sleeping on the floor in that bedroom. I mean, that kid shouldn't see that kind of stuff.
Right.
Not too long ago, probably a couple of years ago, one of our houses, we bust in and do our search, make it safe for the investigators to come in and do what they do. And on the couch right inside the door are two young boys, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old, playing video games or watching a cartoon. They hardly even flinch with these big guys coming in carrying guns.
My kids are like that now. If Caden's involved in Fortnite, you could go through there with a flamethrower, and the kid's like, "Huh, what? Is it time to eat?"
Don't touch the TV. Don't touch the Xbox.
Yeah, I think that's what they were thinking. Hey, this is part of the video game.
Right.
Yeah, you never know.
Reality, kids shouldn't see that kind of stuff, and it bothers me to see that they're already desensitized to those kinds of
There's
things.
a lot of drugs in our area.
So it's happening, right? And that's become a bit of a culture, and we've got to stem that. Again, if we let it be easy, then it's going to overrun our community. This is a good location.
Well, and the other side of the coin of that is that if this country didn't have such a demand
Right.
for the products, the cartel would have to look elsewhere. And I know we've had DEA agents on. We're kind of the funnel. It comes up through Mexico and then it goes to Europe and other places from here. It's crazy how you would think it would just come up through here to get over to Europe instead of, on a shipping container and gone. But
you make a good point. It's about the commerce. They're trying to make money, and they don't really care if it's drugs, if it's human trafficking, if it's guns, whatever it is. They're going to do it to make money, and if there's an appetite for it in this country, they're going to use it. They're going to come through here.
Recently, last week, the sheriff's office, I think, was instrumental in helping apprehend a woman out of Colorado that has been accused of shooting a guy in Inez, I guess, with a crossbow. And I'm just like, my first thought was meth head. And you know what? I've kind of made a couple of phone calls. And, oh yeah, notorious drug heads. And I'm just like, really? I mean, it's like I watched Breaking Bad. I was totally educated because none of that made any sense to me. And then I find out that Chief Boyd again has told us, oh man, there's more meth around here than you can, shake a blue barrel at.
I don't want to talk about that case specifically, but I will say hats off and congratulations to the investigators at VCSO that were working on that case and their partnership with federal agencies that helped them and even local law enforcement in Colorado. So everybody was on the ball and we were able to apprehend that subject.
Yeah, I got all the disclaimers in there. Allegedly, I got all the disclaimers.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit more because we're talking about the drug trafficking and what we've been able to do over the past 15, 16 years at VCSO, and very much in partnership with an alliance of sheriffs from around the region. That's a big deal. That's a force multiplier where we're all sharing information back and forth. Sheriff O'Connor helped get that going. The other sheriffs in the region have really helped that. AJ Lauerback is the chairman of that group now. I had an opportunity to meet with that group this last Tuesday. And very excited about the opportunity to work with the rest of those sheriffs and bring our forces together for this region. You understand, criminals don't care about county lines.
No.
And our criminals are their criminals. As a matter of fact, one of the issues is that the tougher Victoria gets on crime, where do you think those criminals go? They just push out to the surrounding counties where they perceive it's going to be easier to operate. They still come back here and victimize our citizens. So for us to be able to help, probably from the SWAT perspective, I've spent almost as many call outs going to the surrounding counties to help them as we have in Victoria County. That's important that we have that relationship.
It's like moving fire ants. You move them from one yard to the next, but you want to keep them moving.
Keep them moving out of your area.
That's right.
Do you have a question here? And I don't know if you know the answer to this one or not. Somebody was asking what happened to the federal program Border Star to help fight drug trafficking.
Some of those dollars are still available. I'm not sure about the Border Star specifically, but let's talk about that. That brings up the issue of grants and achieving grants. Over the past 15, 16 years, we've been able to bring over $10 million into Victoria from state and federal grants. We couldn't do what we're doing in a proactive manner if we didn't have that. And there was a time when Victoria County Sheriff's Office was banned from some of those things because we lost the trust of the people who shared those grants, and we lost the confidence that we were going to do what we said we were going to do with that. Sheriff O'Connor was able to rebuild that confidence. And how do you do that? You do that from, first off, doing what you say you're going to do, building some positive relationships in Austin and Washington, and help them understand that we can do it here. Well, now it's even growing way past that with the assistance of the surrounding agencies. That's important, so I've been criticized a little bit for my discussion of Austin and Washington. That doesn't mean I have any less love and appreciation and understanding of what's important, and that's our hometown people. But we can't get it done without their help. So that's one aspect of Austin and Washington.
It's got to be a good thing for the next sheriff. It's got to be a good thing to have T. Michael O'Connor as a federal marshal, basically kind of looking over our shoulder a little bit. There's got to be advantages to be able to play off of his relationship with DC and his connections. And I think Victoria is in a good spot, no matter who wins, to try to work those angles from a financial standpoint.
I'm going to disagree a little bit because it does matter who wins. If we put somebody in the sheriff's office that doesn't have the expertise, the connections, the relationships already in place, we're going to go backwards. That's just the way it works. Let's talk about another aspect of our assistance in Austin and Washington. Again, probably the past 3 or 4 legislative sessions, we've seen it at work more than ever, where the legislature is finally starting to take notice of the sheriffs around the state, especially in this region. Again, largely due to Sheriff O'Connor, Sheriff Louderback, and the other sheriffs in this region that are going to Austin and talking to those people. Now, it's not just about grants, it's also about laws. Every legislative session, there's thousands of laws that get introduced. A few of them might be good for Victoria. Most of them are really bad for Victoria, or even bad for Texas. Somebody has to be there to explain to them which ones we want and which ones we don't. Otherwise, we lose, and we just become, at their mercy. So that's an important aspect, and an example of that is the mental health issue. The past 2 sessions, this group of sheriffs from this region, along with Gulf Bend Mental Health, went to Austin and said, look, we're not doing right by mental health. Jails are not a good place. They're not a good mental health hospital. We need to do something with those, and we need to do a better job. This last legislative session, they came home with enough money to be able to hire 5 mental health officers. That's a start. It's not where we need to be, but it's a start. That's an example of how going to Austin and explaining to the legislature what we need and how we're going to solve problems in this part of Texas.
It's now, Billy, I don't want to take you to jail. Put that machete down and go back in the house and take the blue pill. No, not the blue one. Take the red one that your mama laid out. I tell you what, we've talked extensively. I don't make fun of that except to tell you we talked extensively with Chief Boyd about, he was the first person, and Sheriff Louderback. Sheriff Louderback's a lot more matter of fact, okay? And we love AJ, period. But when Chief Boyd was on here, he explained, he said, having a jail as a mental health hospital is like bringing in the military and tanks for police force. It's too much, and it exacerbates all the issues that are present. I think that this single idea, this single focus could be the most important breakthrough or tenet of law enforcement in my lifetime. How many people die, commit suicide in jail or whatever happens, that it's because they just mentally were overwhelmed by the situation, and that wasn't the best place for them. So I applaud you guys for working on that.
There ends up being a lot of victims in here. The families are victimized. They can't see their loved one. The individuals are not getting the help that they need. There's the potential for those individuals to have a productive, reasonable life if they just got the right kind of help. And plus, it's costing the taxpayers more money
Right.
to transport those folks or to put them in our jails. Not the best solution.
Well, we blow people's minds here all the time. We say, how many people do you think are in the Victoria jail? I don't even know where it is. Well, 2 O'Connor Plaza right there. What? And then, I don't know, what, like 50? No, like try 450, 500.
Fortunately, right now we're under about 300, right around the 300. Usually we run average about 400, but we have over 500 capacity in that facility.
Wow. There's room for you, Ash.
Nice. Good to know.
I mean, can you see Ash?
No, we don't want you there.
No, I don't want to be
I
there.
can just see Ash. Don't tase me, bro. There's no room down there for me.
I did have a question that sort of came as a follow-up from the other night. And because a couple of people had asked me and said, if you ever get a chance to ask these guys, ask them this one. What are your plans to put more patrol cars or patrol units into Victoria County? They were concerned that there doesn't seem to be enough. And I don't know if that's true or not.
And that's always a concern because if you don't see them driving by your house, you don't think they're there. The challenge is going to be, first of all, we got to evaluate the call volumes and what they're doing. The big issue is filling the spots we have. We have a good number of patrolmen now. Yeah, we could use a couple more, and that will make it a little bit better, cover the area a little bit more. But obviously, we have to work with Commissioner's Court. That's a Commissioner's Court issue. Before we put more patrolmen on the street, I'd actually like to pay the ones we have a little bit more. And that's a conversation that I'll be having with Commissioner's Court. More experienced and well-trained officers may be able to do more than a bunch of rookie officers. And it's about what we can handle in the production. No question about that. So that's an issue, is figuring that one out. Now, also, there's been a lot of discussion about that, officer pay in this election. And they talk about step programs, which sort of reward tenure. And I recognize that tenure has some importance, but in the business community, you pay for performance. You pay for those folks who have gone out and spent time investing in themselves by increasing their education level or getting some extra training or taking on extra responsibility. Those are the folks that you want to be able to reward. And we have people at the Sheriff's Office today that certainly have those capabilities. More bright young folks that are eager to do their job at Victoria County Sheriff's Office today than I've seen in 30 years at one time.
That's
Good to know. That's really good to know.
They're always. I have a lot of interaction with the SO, and those folks are always not. I mean, most of my criminal activity is in the city, but
85 in a 70 zone.
No. They're always extremely polite. The sheriff's office is fairly to use. I mean, they're always prepared. I'm not trying to be silly. They're laid back. They're very approachable. I don't find anybody in law enforcement in Victoria actually to be abusive or difficult to be around. I cut up with all the police officers when I see them, and I find the sheriff's office has some really, really quality people.
That should always be the goal. Since you're talking about quality people, let's talk a little bit about the school resource program. Several years ago when the police department was having a challenge with staffing, the sheriff's office had the opportunity to take over the school resource operation. Sheriff O'Connor did that, but his premise at that time was we're going to put good, experienced officers in there, and it's going to be serious law enforcement. We're not babysitting. We're not just runners for staff. We're going to be there to interact with the young people, the kids, and then keep them safe. That's an important aspect. Our kids shouldn't go to school worried about if they're going to be safe. How in the world are we going to expect them to learn if they're worried about their own safety? So that school resource program is a big deal.
And probably more important for parents. I don't know that kids necessarily always think of that stuff. The parents probably have more of those concerns than kids, to be honest.
Is there a concern that program might not continue, or are you talking about beefing it up more, or what are your thoughts on the SRO?
Obviously, I haven't had this specific conversation with the school superintendent or the school board. I think they're very supportive of it. I would like to see it increase if possible. Obviously, that becomes an expense on them, and everyone's budgets are going to be challenged due to this COVID-19.
I'll tell you something interesting, and I never missed the chance. And Mr. O'Connor, I hope you're listening. I know he does at times. He comes in under an alias. But T. Michael O'Connor once told me, he said, he goes, when everything's going good, he goes, people want to look at law enforcement as an expense. And he said, you have to look at law enforcement as an investment. And he said, if things are going good, then you're getting a good return on your investment. And coming from a guy with a whole bunch of money, I like the way when he talks about things in terms of investments. I like that. And Doug Ellisor is a great friend of mine, and he's been the school resource officer at both East and West high schools, and he's dealt with issues that made front page news at both locations, and he handled both more than both, with the utmost of professionalism and spared lives that we've talked about it here on the show. There are things that have happened in our schools that if they happened in Houston, you'd have a dead student. But in Victoria, Texas, the SRO diffused it, and it's a real feather in the cap of the sheriff's office. So
we're foolish if we think it can never happen in Victoria.
Yes, sir.
Talking about investment, I like to use the term value. Law enforcement can never be looked at as a profit center. It's just not. We're not going to make more money than we spend. It's always going to be an expense, but it's an investment, and we can provide value. That's going to be my goal as sheriff, is to look for ways that we can provide value back to the taxpayer for the money they're spending. In my experience, people are willing to spend money as long as they know they're getting value. And that's important.
And what does that value look like?
And that value looks like safety and security to the individuals. And sometimes that's a perception, and obviously that's what we're working on.
Great. Awesome.
where are you all to for the rest of the day? You're dressed awful sharp.
Rest of the day, obviously, I'm still president of the Victoria Economic Development Corporation, so I have some work there to do, some meetings. As the week tapers on, I'm going to be taking some days off and working on the campaign and those types of things. So that's all going to be very important.
Final stretch of the campaign, at least for the runoff.
Right.
How has COVID changed campaigning up?
Yeah, well obviously, we haven't been able to have big campaign events. We haven't been able to have any sort of big meet and greets and that sort of thing. So it's more virtual. It's more phone calls. There's still some opportunities to get in front of folks, but just not as proactively as we'd like to.
Yeah.
So that's been an issue.
Great.
Kind of like
Dale?
knock on the door, step back 6 feet.
I literally have that folks go, hey, would you bring me a sign? But we're not going to come out. So that's what it is. So stick it in the yard.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't imagine how this would have affected campaigning and your plans, and how nimble you probably had to become as a campaign team to keep it going.
And as an novice at this campaign thing, we had to learn on the fly. I would like to.
That's probably a good thing you didn't know any different.
That's right. Yeah, this is what campaign is like 8 months long just to get through a primary runoff. I would like to thank all of the people of Victoria. We've had some great supporters for our campaign, certainly. It's very humbling to know that folks will invest in people that they trust and will put their faith in. So that's humbling, and I appreciate all of that and all of that help. Most of all, I appreciate people getting out and voting. I want folks to understand that while I've been the president of the Economic Development Corporation for 20 years, but for over 30 years, I've been a real cop. I get that from time to time that, hey, you weren't there full time, you didn't receive a paycheck. Can you be the real deal? Well, sure, I can be the real deal. When we bust through the door and I'm on the entry staff of the SWAT team, nobody asks, is he a part-timer or a full-timer? It's the real thing. And so I've been able to do that. Early days, I spent a lot of time in the patrol car. That's what we did back then, Friday and Saturday nights. I told folks, and it's funny when I tell the new officers this, they want to know if we pull our cars with a horse and buggy, but I'm not that old. But there were only 3 patrolmen on the street back then. A sergeant and 2 patrolmen. And when we came in on the weekends, the patrolmen could split up and take a separate car. So that's how far back I go. We spent a lot of time in the patrol. Matter of fact, that's how Sheriff O'Connor and I got to be friends. When he came over and joined the Sheriff's Reserve in Victoria County, I was approved to work a shift on my own because of training and experience. He wasn't. He was a new guy. So he came to work with me, and we spent a lot of time riding around Victoria County.
That's awesome.
You've seen every square inch of this county, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Miles and miles of Texas.
Well, Dale, appreciate it. Thank you for stopping
Thank
by.
you so much for coming by,
Thank you,
and
John.
I'll give you nuts and tell you to go work hard and good luck, sir.
All right. Great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
That's Dale Fowler. He's in the final runoff for sheriff of Victoria County.
Republican County, the
Absolutely.
Republican Party runoff, and the
That's kind of a
election.
given, and it's a given he's Republican.
The election is July 14th. Early voting starts today.
4 days today, 5 days next week. You've got plenty of time to drive by. I'm sure the Patty Dodson Center is set up exclusively for social distance voting. They're going to do everything they can to make you comfortable. There'll be alcohol-based sanitizers everywhere. So good deal. And why don't you start our second break, and I'll go turn the camera back.
I will. Veracruz Restaurant, folks. If you missed the best Mexican food in the region over the weekend, now's your chance. Monday's here. Veracruz is open, so you get a chance to stop by Veracruz. You also get a chance to take it home if you wish, or get it to go, or delivery. They can do that as well. 576-6015 is the number to call, and Veracruz will satisfy your craving. The best Mexican food in Victoria, hands down. Razor IT Solutions, give John Paul Hall a call if you've got any questions about your online business, your online presence. It's not working the way you want it to.
All your analytics, and caller, hang on for a second. We're going to finish the break. All your analytics, what's happening? If you've got a pay button and it doesn't go straight into your QuickBooks, JP can make that happen. You can go in every day and check and see who paid what based on a program that he can install for you. He can help you keep the Chinese and the Indians and the Russians out of your web page. It's unbelievable what's out there, folks. And if you'll go spend a few minutes with JP, you'll understand why Razor IT Solutions does a really good job. The Atzenhofer dealership since 1926, Victoria's dealer. Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, all the pre-owned. There's a beautiful Tahoe over there right now, Ash. It's in the mid-30s.
Yep.
It's black, got a brush guard on it. Good-looking truck. Sitting out front on the lot. Go by because
the other good thing, it's not going to be extremely high miles either.
No, and their pre-owned line is really quality vehicles. They take the old high mileage cars like me and Ash drive, and they send them off, but they keep the best ones. The guys that trade up every year, let them eat that new car, depreciation, and you get the used one. Atzenhofer, they do it all.
Since 1926, Atzenhofer.com as well.
White Trash Services, 550-1826. Give them a call.
For all your trash collection needs.
Roll-off dumpsters for big projects, whether you need weekly trash service in the county.
Whether for your home or your business, they can do it. And I know they're expanding, and I want to mention this because I got a message from
BJ tell someone that you want them to be the Victoria provider.
Yeah, they're expanding into the Holiday Beach, Rockport, Lamar area. So there you go. New routes starting ASAP.
There you go.
So they're getting even further.
We got a caller, I think.
Yes.
Let's see what's up. Good morning, caller. Are you there? Is that Cody? Well, we could do like a green screen over there and put like a Texas flag up. We should. You know what? You're right.
You're right, Cody. We should.
Cody, you're right. Well, you know what? To a degree, he was under oath, and we appreciate that. How are you today, sir? We're good. We're good.
Are you having troubles finding toilet paper?
But
well, they'll work in a pinch.
Who does that? I mean, why?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And what did parents do before baby wipes?
You know what they used to do? They used to use a washcloth and soap and water, and they ran their washing machine all the time. Well, there you go.
Isn't that something?
The water hose works just well. Just don't put it on jet, put it on full.
How's Bob Wayne?
Hey, congrats! You're gonna have another one.
Oh, I knew. I got the skinny that day I came by. I saw it. Yeah, you told me that. I couldn't be more excited for you. There you go.
That's awesome, Cody.
What's his middle name going to be? I like it.
Nice.
Just call him MJ. I like it. White sugars can't jump. I like it.
They can run through a brick wall.
That's exactly right. There you go. Well, hey, go have a great day. And folks, please spare Cody some toilet paper. Be safe.
See you, Cody.
Bye, brother. That's Cody Sugar checking in with a public service announcement to lay off the
Yeah.
TP.
Boy, does that get us into our next segment, doesn't it, though?
Yes.
Mask ordinance issued on Friday. Businesses had until 8 o'clock this morning, I think, to get signage up and basically invoke the mask ordinance. But boy, where's the law? How do you make that logical connection? Wear your masks. Oh, I got to go buy all the toilet paper.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Miranda says, hey, I did cloth diapers and wipes with my third kid. It wasn't easy. No kidding.
Yeah.
I can remember being a little guy.
Diaper pails in the room.
People used to put cloth diapers in the toilet and let them soak, and then you just take it and then you'd flush it. That's a true story. They'd flush it, maybe put a little spot of bleach in there, kind of multi-purpose. Wipe out the ring in the toilet while done. Bam.
I just remember the diaper pails in the corners of houses that you'd lift that lid off and it would just stink.
Jeremy Pigney's in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Jeremy just decided to go anywhere there wasn't a mask ordinance. He's out. He's making it work.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know that Raleigh, it's a danged if you do, danged if you don't scenario.
It really is. It is.
But I think what we're doing, I'm anti this ordinance. Doesn't make me anti-Raleigh. Doesn't mean that if I were sitting in his shoes, I might not have been enlightened or pressured to do the same thing. I think that we are legislating a lack of personal responsibility. And I'm starting to believe, and I'll challenge anybody that wants to call, that the numbers just bear out that this is much ado about very little.
Well, but we've gone 30 years of no personal responsibility.
Correct. The government's got to do something.
Lady drops her coffee in her lap and sues McDonald's. To me, that kind of started it all.
Yeah, she was
You
done.
ordered a coffee. At that time, there was no thing as iced coffee. It was just hot coffee.
Yeah, you should know it's hot. If you can't handle it,
don't buy it
Don't
in
buy
your
it.
car.
Right.
But we've become a society of timeouts and no consequences for the decisions that you make.
Yeah, Joe Mitchell says he's not seeing ordinances in Tennessee where he's at, but they're wearing a mask because, they're somewhere different. They're not in their comfort zone, so they're wearing masks. Adam Doctor says the president of the Chamber of Commerce seems to be threatening people without threatening. The Chamber of Commerce should champion personal responsibility. You need to wear a mask if you're in public, but the Chamber of Commerce should much more be championing what's best for local business. What's best for local business is to be open. This deal of shutting down businesses, and here's the problem we've got. And I'm trying to have this conversation with a number of people. Victoria County right now, pick a number, 540 cases of COVID. 280 something of them are active cases. 240 something of them have run their course. 8 people have died. The only number that matters is the 8 people that have died. Because if I told you today that 10,000 people in Victoria either have or have had COVID, you still just have 8 dead people. Nobody here believes that we've identified every case of COVID. Nobody here believes we've done much more than the tip of the iceberg of the real cases of COVID in our area. But we do know that 8 people died. If there's 50,000 cases and 8 people died, then we're spinning our wheels as an economy to disrupt our community over 8 people. I feel bad for them, feel bad for their families. I'll guarantee you 6 of them died with COVID, not of COVID. One of them was a guy that didn't get it here, didn't die here, but he owned a house here. He's on our list. Ding! These aren't people that are getting COVID, running the streets like rabid dogs and dying with frothy mouths and all that. It ain't happening. 8 people. As many people have died of cardiac arrest. If we were nearly as focused on all the extremist activity, we would have already cured cancer, heart disease, diabetes. It would all be cured. They don't shut down the entire economy over heart disease. People are stealing
Heart
these
disease
fat
is
burgers.
contagious. I get that.
Okay, I can go.
But
with
we
that.
don't. But we don't
Are we
shut
going
it
to
down.
shut down for the flu?
Well, we don't shut it down for the flu, and there's years where the flu is just as
Many more than
deadly.
8 people. Are we going to shut it down? Are we going to shut it down this fall when the new flu strain comes out?
A friend of mine posted on social media yesterday. How long is this shutdown going to last? Till election day, until there's a cure?
That's right.
Which will come first?
I think election day.
And how long will it last, depending on who wins?
Somebody put up the other day, make no mistake, look at the places that are being deemed hot spots. They're all places where President Trump has a rally coming up. No kidding.
Well, and they're all places that have increased testing. You test more, you're going to find more.
Right. That's why Trump was being flippant and said, "We'll slow your testing." I mean, anybody that understands math just says, "Well, duh," because we joked about the fact that we like to think that this got here in December or January, and that it came from China. It really came from Europe, and we don't know exactly when it got here. I mean, it could have been here during the flu last year. For all you know, my son Kyle. It's not HIPAA. It's my kid. Kyle tested positive. He was in the Valley. He was working at a bank, riding with a coworker. She tested positive. He went home and quarantined for a week immediately. He went back after a week and tested positive. I said, "Kyle, how do you feel?" He goes, "Man, I feel great. I work out every day. I lay in the sun." I go, "Wait, you don't have fever?" "No, sir." "Chills?" "No, sir." "Still have your sense of taste and smell?" "Sure." I mean, he goes, "But I mean, they said I was positive." I said, "It's just as likely. Flip a coin, it was a false positive. But he's at the very least, he's asymptomatic. For all I know, I had it."
I read a headline last night, and I don't remember exactly where it was. 33% of the tests had false results. Could be false positives, false negatives.
Yeah.
But if that's indicative of the accuracy of our testing,
Yeah.
it hurts the numbers. Then you had the state of Washington came out yesterday and said that their statisticians, their data people are saying there's probably 10 times as many
Correct.
cases in the state of Washington, which takes it from 35,000 to 350,000. Yet they're
But
not
the same number of people die.
Yeah,
That's the point.
the rate of death isn't increasing by 10.
Right. If you identify
And then I think New York says something like there are a few million cases more than what they've actually confirmed. So if that's starting to happen around the country, how many more cases are actually in Texas and as you said, in Victoria, than we're actually letting on here?
nobody's made a comment about the correlation between the lack of social distancing at the little protest.
I was getting there because I kind of looked at these numbers over
Well,
the
they went
weekend.
45, 54, 39,
Well,
31. It's like going back down again.
There's no correlation to the reopening and bars.
Right.
And all you have to do is look at the numbers. The numbers were actually, the 7-day average around in this country was actually going this way, folks, till about the middle of June. Most of the reopening that had been happening was around Memorial Day. The CDC now says 5 to 6 days on average for symptoms to appear.
Mm-hmm.
Not the 14 days they first told you, although they kind of try to keep that number out there. But here's
they want you to quarantine for the entire time.
And here's their
caveat. The week after.
The average is 5 to 6 days. That would tell me that most of the people are experiencing and showing symptoms within 5 to 6 days. So if the Memorial Day weekend, which was the 25th, I think, 22nd to 25th of May, if you start showing symptoms 5 days later, you're into the first part of June. You go get tested, you get a test result back in 3 to 7 days. That's another week. These numbers should have started spiking around the 10th of June at about the very latest.
And by the way, by the 10th of June, you're well. Or you died, but very few died. And the deaths, folks, are finite. You can see Well, they die. They're dropping like flies in Fort Lauderdale, but they're not. They're not dropping like flies in Fort Lauderdale.
But guess what was happening about the 10th of June? Or in that time frame?
All those protests.
All the protests. 60,000 people in Houston who gathered and then went back amongst their lives and to their livelihoods and into their neighborhoods and into their homes and into their businesses.
So we're going to shut down the tubing businesses. You see what Joe Mitchell said? All this goes away if Joe Biden wins. Boy, that's true. The day that Joe Biden wins, and by the way, I'm not willing to give up the country to Joe Biden over a virus that didn't kill anybody.
But I find it interesting that a Trump rally that wasn't attended by 20,000 people because they sabotaged the tickets because the left is such a proponent of free speech that they do everything they can to keep people from hearing it.
Amen.
And peaceably assemble. But you have media outlets trying to blame that rally
on
the spike.
Yeah, that caused the spike.
Yet you had 200 protests around this country in various cities. And the media won't talk about that or make that correlation at all to why the numbers are going up. And then you had what happened here on Thursday and Friday. People standing in line, not social distancing. Actually, it didn't happen Friday because Friday was raining and nobody was worried about their life enough to stand in line for a test on Friday in the rain.
But they stood in the rain for toilet paper at HEB.
Yeah. But they had no problem not social distancing, doing everything that you're not supposed to do to stand in line for a COVID test on Thursday.
It's craziness. It's mental anarchy. And you better get your head straight because this isn't going away. And, people social distance. I social distance.
Miranda Tunja says it's embarrassing.
It
kind of is.
Because
we get on the map in Victoria around the world for the stupidest things. And the latest is people driving through buildings and now people standing in line for a COVID test looking like a bunch of sheeple and idiots who don't social distance,
Absolutely.
Even though you've been told to do it.
So then here's my next question, bringing us back around to Mayor McCoy, who puts in an ordinance because people are too stupid to do what they ought to do on their own, clearly. But now let me ask you something. Do you really think that VPD has the manpower, the time, or the inclination to write you a ticket? Do you really believe that a Victoria law enforcement officer is going to pull up to you and your four buddies standing on the corner and go, going to have to give you boys a citation?
Well, they don't have to.
There's not going to be one citation given over this. Not one citation is going to be given over this ordinance. So why do you put an ordinance in place that you know you're not going to enforce? That's purely politics. Who are we acquiescing to and why? Why do you put an ordinance in place that you're not going to enforce? They ain't going to give nobody a ticket.
James Prince, we are less than 4 feet away from each other, but you know what? We speak this way.
But we don't speak moistly. But by the way, James, Ash and I, we've
pretty much stay home all the time.
We stay home all the time. And on top of that, we're family. We're not worried about it. I'm just not worried about it. Justice Rotowski says, we do it because it looks good on paper. Government that says we've got to do something is government that should say the best thing we can do is get out of the way. The best thing we can do is nothing. Sometimes because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Let's take our final break. I want to finish this on a better note.
There's a better note?
There is a better note.
Uncle Mutt's is a better note. Get by there today for some brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey, all the side dishes, Uncle Mutt's rice. Get some pea salad. Tell them Wade and Carter sent you. They won't give you a discount, but they'll grin and laugh at you. Uncle Mutt's a great place to go. Dad looks good.
He's looking trim.
Quarantine is helping him. Gray Barn Design. Go to our Wade and Carter page today, and you'll see some pictures of one of Cheryl's great wedding events. And I love the way they had the doors and so the kids got married like in that. It's an archway. It's a, what do you call that? A trellis. But it's made out of two doors, and it made me think of the doors are opening to the beginning of their new life together. I thought it was a beautiful accoutrement.
Cheryl and I made that.
920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl. She'll do it. And today is a great day. Do it now. We're in the middle of storm season, the beginning, really.
Yeah, really the beginning.
Reach out to Wind Services. You need to see, first of all, you need a generator. You may not have one. You may choose not to buy one, but you need a generator at your home. And then you can be even more proactive. They have solar panels and a way to store solar power. Reach out to Wind Services today. They'll come out and give you a quote. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. Tell them Wade and Carter sent you.
Remember, I guess maybe it was a month or 2 months ago, we ran a little poll, Big Red or Dr. Pepper.
Right.
Dr. Pepper was overwhelmingly the choice.
Sure.
I think 80% to 20%.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper was by far the winner.
Well, this is proof that Dr. Pepper is not the soft drink of Texas.
Well, see, I think that it may be that among conservative employed people that Dr. Pepper is the drink of choice.
There's a local brewery in San Antonio, Isla Street Brewing.
Isla.
Isla?
Mhm.
I-S-L-L-A?
It means island.
Okay. Isla Street Brewing. They've got a Big Rojo. It's a Big Red soda beer.
Rojo, red, Spanish.
Yeah, I understand that.
You think they've got a target market? You think they're trying to sell Big Red to the Hispanic beer drinking market?
It's a Berliner beer, which is a light wheat beer.
What's it
And
going to
then
taste like?
and then
Like
they
a Blue
finish it
Moon?
off-
Is it like a
no.
Blue Moon? What's
Well, kind of, yeah. More, I think it lends itself to what they're trying to do here, sort of more soda-y.
I love watching people order craft beers. I want to try something new. I just, give me something that tastes like a Michelob Ultra.
Yeah.
That's So tell me about Big Rojo.
Well, it's finished with real Big Red syrup.
So it's a co-venture there.
Yeah.
Who owns Big Red?
7-Up Dr. Pepper. I don't know.
Is that right?
No,
I don't know. I think it is a Dr. Pepper product.
But they were supposed to
Supposedly-
roll it out, and it's going to be a full-scale release later in July. So we might get a chance to see this around. But I'm excited to try this one. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge flavored beer fan. I like a double chocolate stout from Young's.
Double
In the winter?
chocolate stout from Young's.
I think Kona Brewing Company has a nice coffee flavored stout or porter. I can't remember which one it is. It's a dark beer, but I'm not big into the orangey.
See, like if you want
Type
chocolate, you drink chocolate milk. If you want coffee, you drink, say, Starbucks. But you Canadians, yeah. You
But
can
it's
just
not
get
something-
schnockered having
Yeah,
a
but
double coffee
it's
latte.
not something I go out and get all the time. I enjoy them every once in a while.
Just in the morning.
But I will try this. This one, I will try this.
What is that paragraph and who took the time to write that?
I don't know. And we don't have time to read it because
Could
we're out
be,
of
could be a
time.
top fan. See, if it's a top fan, we'll go over.
Mouse isn't working.
Well, here, I'm going to go in
I'll
old
get it.
school.
I'll get it. There we go.
I mean, I'm with you. Jimbo Slice is Jimbo Slice. What did he
I
say?
don't know. He's replying to Adam Sugar about something, so I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing.
We're out of
Folks, I
time.
apologize. Hey, I want to give a special thanks to Sheriff's candidate Dale Fowler. Thank you for coming in. And I think I said this the other day, but it was a feather in the cap, and it was provided by Ash for Wade and Carter to be a part of the debate. For so many years, you only heard about debates brought to you by the local paper. And I'm proud to say that I know that Ash provided a totally unbiased, completely objective, and open forum to both candidates. And it's just something that Victoria needs, and it's just something we quite simply didn't have until Ash stepped up and did it. So,
Well, Caleb Shaw put it together.
Caleb Shaw did a great job and does. So, Caleb, congrats to you too.